Hey, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things. Today is my Stamparatus demo using the Mini Mates stamp set. Because this is rubber with foam, I do not need the foam insert. I used the Stamparatus because I wanted to make sure that I had 3 sentiments that lined up together on the front of the project that I was working on. So I picked out my sentiments. I am left-handed, so I use the plate being held in my left hand, and I lined up my sentiments roughly where I wanted them, moved them as close together as I could get them, made them touching. I knew that I wasn't going to want to stamp 3 separate times. I wanted one stamp. So with those lined up, I then used the grid paper that you can buy. It has an imperial side and a metric side. Metric side and an imperial side. I stamped a few times, starred the one that I liked because I will keep this until I am fully done with this project. I then, once I had it where I liked it, I used a card front, which I just lined up with the grid here on the side that was the good side, and then used a magnet to hold it in place and did my stamping. Actually, I guess I was up one. There we go. So that is what I did. I was pretty casual about it, didn't get real technical, was just lining them up like the way they're lined up here. Stamped it a couple of times. I apologize, Hub just came home, so I had to let him get settled. So I line up on my Stamparatus. I use the grid paper, though you could use plain paper, like the copier or printer paper is what I would recommend, to do a bunch of prints till you have it exactly lined up the way you want. Be sure, like in this case I have 5 different ones, be sure to star or put a note by the one that you like in case you want to keep it. You will regret if you don't, because these are so close that you have to really analyze each one and figure out which one is the good one versus the ones that aren't quite right. I then stamped. I went ahead and did 2 stampings. Decided from this layout what I wanted to cut it out with. Did I want to use a punch? Did I want to use a die cut? And I picked a die cut that fits perfectly. I usually use my trick for finding dies. I have already shown you guys that I like to use the catalog, and I have highlights over the ones that I own so that I can quickly look for shapes that look like they're going to work, and then I can go get them out of my storage, bring them out, and in this case, this particular die is from Tasteful Touches. Now I will reveal my project. This it's a masculine card, and I actually did not think ahead of, I was thinking of it for a birthday card, but seeing it now, I'm like, okay, this would be a perfect 4th of July card. So I now have 2 good layouts that I will be using for the 4th of July. So initially I had the large sentiment. I trimmed down the Well Suited red. I knew I wanted a really fat border, and I did the dry embossing folder subtle, and then I fussed around with the stars. I had a really hard time making 3 work. I had 2 of the navies and then a real red. I mean, not real red, that's Poppy Parade. And did not like the 3s because this sentiment focal was strong enough that it like fought with the 3 stars. So this is really an unusual situation for me to only have 2 like non-competing elements that are almost as strong as the focal, so I ended up making some silver to make the stars pop, and then played with layering them up, and this is what I came up with. And then of course I used all the trimmings resin dots, which I still have from the holidays. They are not carried forward, but I've been using them up and I really like them. Now there are some new dots. These are from Snailed It. They're heart-shaped, so you could easily use these, or pearls. You could color one of the pearls red if you wanted. And then I used the baker's twine, and it is all on, you can't see it. I wanted to have it on white, so there's a very thin matching white border that matches with that matte. The dimensions that I used, looking for my ruler. All right, I've got my handy dandy measure. It's 3 by a little over 4 1/4. And then we have, I'd say 3 3/16 by 4 1/2. And then we've got 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Now, I will say that when I cut these thin borders, I use my trimmer and I lay out the red on top of the white, so I don't actually pre-measure them and I don't cut them separate. They get cut together. I have all of my cardstock cut down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so that can vary a tiny bit. And same with the Well Suited was trimmed down to 6 by 6s. And with that, my measuring is not perfect. I kind of go by eyeball when I'm doing my thinner mats. So that is today's project. We're now into the fancy cards, and tomorrow I will have my final project. It is an Avid project with many layers, many techniques being used, and that will be the conclusion of this week's Mini Mates. Hopefully you will come back here tomorrow and check out what I've got. Leave your comments, questions, and suggestions either here or on my blog. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.